We're live for yet another episode of Bizverds. I have Neeru with me, and I'll be giving an introduction of Neeru. But I think we're having some internet issues with Neeru. Neeru, are you with me?
I am. Can you see me? I can
I'll
see
be
you very
giving
clearly.
Neeru, but I think we're having some internet issues with Neeru. Neeru, are you with me?
I am. Can you see me?
I can see you, but your screen is stuck for some odd reason. I think it's one of those days when internet is giving us trouble, and now we can't even hear you. We've lost you completely. Let me try and message you on WhatsApp. If there are people who've joined us uh, live, this is yet another episode of Bizverds. We'll be we're figuring out a little bit of a technical glitch, which is with my guest Neeru. Hopefully, should be sorted soon, and we'll get on live quickly with her. Neeru, we have lost you, and we can't get you live. Maybe you might want to reconnect, Neeru, very quickly. I'll take you off, and you might want to come back quickly online, Neeru, if that's okay with you. We've completely lost you, Neeru. I hope you are able to come back quickly, and then we can start this episode of Bizwords. All the viewers who are with me, hang in there. We would be very quickly coming live. We're trying to sort out we're trying to sort out the internet issues that we're having with Neeru. Neeru, are you live with us? You are. That is amazing.
Awesome! I'm so happy.
It has to happen when you talk about the storm, right? We have, there has to be a storm before the call, and all my viewers were online. This was not staged. This was I was freaking out. So this was completely not staged. We didn't want any storm in our call. Nonetheless, thank you very much for all those who've joined us. My name is Noman Nasrullah. I call myself and I try to work with people in terms of accelerating their growth. So I work with organizations and individuals accelerating their growth, and that's why I call myself Growth Catalyst. This is yet another live episode of Bizwords from Funworks. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are in. I hope you are doing well and you're keeping safe and you're keeping healthy. I have with me Neeru. Neeru is going to introduce herself in much more detail because I usually say I cannot do justice to people who I call online to them. But the only thing I would say about Neeru is Neeru is a much sought out coach, business coach, executive coach. And Neeru, I've heard from your coachees lots and lots of good things about you, and current clients and previous clients. So especially the previous clients, and I think that's something very important. All those who are with me online, please drop in a message with your name. Say hello so we know who we have. Oh, we have Vijay Karam Chandani. He's saying hello, Neeru. Vijay is an entrepreneur again, operating in UAE, a very close friend. So Neeru, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we get on with what we are about to talk.
Excellent. Thank you so much for inviting me, Noman, and of course for your kind words in your introduction. And I'm super excited to be here. And this wouldn't really be a very fun webinar if we didn't have the issues in the beginning, would it? So we have we have to test the storm and see what's there. So I'm super happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to speaking to your audience and helping to answer some questions that you might have. A little bit about me. As Noman mentioned, I'm an executive coach. I'm actually a certified and trained executive coach. I started off my career working as a management consultant. So I've worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst& Young, and I spent a good 3 to 4 years as an innovation consultant. So Noman and I really come from the same, group, the same tribe. We believe that innovation can actually drive impact, and we go ahead and do lots of things for that. So I 10 years ago I decided to pivot my career and to focus primarily on coaching, because I believe that's my zone of genius. So what I do, I'm based right now out of UAE. I'm specifically based out of Dubai. I've got clients all over the world. So I've lived and worked in Africa, Asia, Europe, the US, and I've got clients from all of these countries, and as well as, of course, here in the UAE. And right now, there's a lot of conversation around the storm, the so-called storm, and there's so much of information about this is what you should do, this is what you should do, but actually there's no proof. Nobody's been through this before, and this is that adaptive challenge that everyone has been talking about for years. When we talk about innovation and we say innovation leaders need to be able to adapt, have adaptive challenge, like know how to lead adaptive challenges. This is it. And nobody knows how to navigate it because nobody has navigated before. This is what we call wicked problems. And we're right in the middle of it right now. So really, there are no solutions. So when I'm telling you that there are 5 things, none of it is right and none of it is wrong. It's just as it is. So I invite you to share whatever I have to share. This is my perspective. It comes from the work that I do, as well as from my own observations and my own academic.
Amazing.
So I'm also a professor at University of at Murdoch University, and I teach entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. So I'm going to bring a lot of kind of concepts from that as well. So just to start off today's show, I wanted to set a little bit of context, and this context is really around this concept of adult development. And we're all adults here, I hope, on this call. Not that it's going to be 18 rated or anything, but just in terms of our development. So children develop very fast in a very different way, and adult development happens over a longer period of time. And when we look at the majority of adults, they're stuck or they're kind of developing between 2 levels. This information I'm sharing with you has come from one of the Harvard professors, and his name is Robert Keegan, and he's done a lot of research. He's actually published a book called Immunity to Change. And in the first part of his book, he talks about this, the stages of adult development. And many of us, as we're navigating this change, we're in one of these 2 levels that I'm going to share. So one level is the level of the socialized mind. So we've grown, we're no longer kids, we're no longer teenagers, we're adults. But the socialized mind is the mind where we're very much aware of cultures and maybe beliefs that we have inherited.
We will be talking about socialized mind and social distancing.
Yeah.
And thankfully they have changed this social distancing to physical distancing now. And it's funny. When I was forwarding to my contacts that I'll be going live with Neeru, come join. A message came back with like a troll or a picture of a Bollywood heroine crying, and it said, "Mujhe ek aur webinar nahi sunna hai." Ya attend karna hai, and which translates as I don't want to attend one more webinar. And I told him, I said, this is not going to be a webinar. This will be a heart-to-heart conversation. And I think we have quite a few people who have joined us. We have Khalil Feroz, a friend of mine. He's a CFO leading a big organization. I have Amin. He's an entrepreneur. We have Aziz. He's a fellow BNI member also, and he's also an entrepreneur. So yeah, we would be talking heart to heart about how to navigate through this storm, a storm that nobody has ever navigated before, because things were so different when the Spanish flu happened, and I think none of us were entrepreneurs at that time. And there is tons and tons of guidance and experts coming in and talking about you should do this, you should do this, and you should do this. And when you talk to entrepreneurs, they have this thing. They're like, everything is good. And it was funny. One of our friends said, he said, I'm tired saying everything is good to all my clients. things are not good, Noman. I miss going to work. I miss doing my business. So Neeru, let's quickly get into social. In the time of social distancing, let's talk about the five things of that the business people, the entrepreneurs should do to navigate through the storm. And all my friends who are live, either on YouTube or on Facebook, please drop in your name and then I would love to interact with you. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to write them. So Neeru, let's jump right in. What are those five things that business people should be doing to navigate through the storm?
Okay, brilliant. So the first thing is that when you hear should, you know that you're on the wrong track. So there's no black or white. I want you to really know that there is no right and there is no wrong. So the moment you hear should, must, you know that that's kind of black and white. So the first thing I believe that business owners should do is for you to have an open mind and to really be open about things that maybe are a combination of things you hadn't seen before. So these five things that I'm asking you to do, I'm inviting you to look at them, and you may choose to take them up or not. Okay, and I think this is the difference of how we are going to navigate the storm, which is really about us making those choices ourselves. So being aware of you don't have to do any of these. You have to you're invited to be aware of what is happening, and that there is no right and wrong answer, because as Noman said, we haven't actually navigated this before. So we really don't know what is right and what is wrong. I invite you to look at, when you say either or, use the word and. So that is also an innovation principle where we look at, we've got all these options and we don't have to choose either or. We could actually choose a combination of some of those. So keep an open mind. That's the first thing. Don't focus on the right answer. Focus on asking the right questions. So keep an open mind, be curious. Don't focus on, I have to find the right answer, but focus on what is the question that I should be asking that's going to give me more information so that I can actually choose. I have many, many more options. So that's the first thing that I would invite you to
That's
look
interesting. People came here looking for answers of five things they should be doing, and you're telling them, don't look for the right answer,
at.
look for the right question. And this is so true. This is so true. We're looking for those short solutions. What do I need to do? How do I do it? What do I do? Rather than looking for answers, ask the right questions. So yeah, Neeru, tell us a little bit more about what are these questions? How should we asking them?
Right.
How should
So
we be asking them? Yeah.
yeah, and see, the thing is that when you look at what is the right answer, we're going with very, very few options. But when you ask the right questions, I'll invite you to ask questions like who, what, where, when, except for why. So don't, and how. So, use all the other W and H questions, but don't use why. The reason is because why becomes defensive. So, why are you doing this? Then you become defensive, like, oh, I'm doing this because of this. But asking questions of who. So, who else should I ask? Who else is going through a similar challenge? What are other business owners in other industries doing? What are the options that I have available? So, really kind of exploring the options. And again, I'm going to bring this conversation back to innovation. Innovation, when you're brainstorming, it's not about the quality of the ideas, it's about the quantity of the ideas. So you want to ask questions and have many, many, many more ideas that you can pick and choose and combine together to really have a much richer option of what is going to go forward for you. And it's going to be unique. Each of us is going to have a very unique perspective, a very unique answer that we're going to look at going forward. So that's the first thing that I invite you to look at.
Ask the right question. Ask the right questions, or look for the right questions, but don't ask the why questions, because you're so right. The minute we ask a why question, why am I like this? Why am I doing this? going through, our brain takes us to that vicious circle, and then gives us all cooked up answers, which even takes us deeper and deeper into the storm. So great. So ask, what are other people doing? Don't ask, how am I going to navigate through the storm, because we don't know yet. But ask all other questions, but why and how. Great. So the first one is, don't look for the right answer, look for the right question. Amazing. And then don't look for or, look for and. Built upon other people's expertise. What's
Yes.
the second
Yes.
thing of
So,
this five secret formula that you have? Yeah.
no secret formula. So the second kind of information piece that I'm going to invite you to look at is to look at your beliefs. And it's important to have strong beliefs, but it's important to loosely hold them. So in this evolution of us moving from a socialized mind where we are really worried about what other people will think and what we should be doing, to a more self-authored mind where we choose our own path, this is the time where you really look at some beliefs that you have and question them and say, is this belief serving me? So right now, one of the biggest challenges I see a lot of business owners have is that, they're saying, should I be selling at this time? So there's a belief of, maybe I shouldn't be greedy, or I shouldn't be looking to be greedy. Okay, so that's a good belief to hold, but actually, should you be holding to it that tightly? So, loosen the grip and say, okay, what feels like the right way to sell? What feels like the right way to offer my services to my clients, where I'm honoring myself, the amount of time and effort I put into this, and I'm also honoring my clients and what they need, so that I can continue to serve them through this. And it's very important for us to realize that when we're continuing to do business, we are actually serving our clients. They still need us, right? And so the second one is to really look at, which are your beliefs which are holding you back. So what are those beliefs which are not serving you anymore? They're strong beliefs, but it's time for us to now loosen our grip on those beliefs and maybe, twist them around and look at them and say, what is this belief really all about? And is it really something that I should be holding on to so strongly? So
This is
that's
amazing. So yeah, so strong beliefs but loosely held. Challenge your own beliefs, and then, yeah, why not? Why can't we earn revenue? Why can't we challenge our own business models? I spoke to an entrepreneur recently, and he said, I had a great insight, and he said that I am not married to my business model. I'm married to my business. And I was like, okay, amazing. And he said, I need to change my business model. And all those who used to say cannot be done are now trying to say, how can it be done? Which, as you said, is the wrong question to ask. We need to be looking at, what do we need to do? What are others doing?
yes,
So the
yes,
first one is, ask the right questions. The second one is, you have strong beliefs, hold them loosely. There's no harm holding them, but hold them loosely, challenge them. Great. This is amazing. We have quite a few people joining us live. I would love it if you can share your name. I have Yvonne is live. Yvonne, Neeru is a common friend of ours, I believe. Yvonne is also my neighbor, and she's a woman entrepreneur who operates out of home. So she's not somebody who's been working from home just now. She's always been working from home, and she's doing amazing work working from home. I have a few of my Funworks colleagues joining in also. Great. So let's get down to the third thing of what the business owners or us need to be doing or explore that they should be doing, because
you're
we
a quick
shouldn't be
learner.
using the word
You're a
should.
quick
See,
learner,
it's
Noman.
so difficult. It's so difficult not to use the word should, right? Because it's like a
Absolutely.
should syndrome. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. You should not go. And then within the lockout, you should not go out. You should not touch people. You should stay away. So it's like a should syndrome that we are all going through. And you said uh, there's nothing like should anymore. So yeah, what's the third thing? I don't know
Yeah.
what to say over here. But what's the third thing we need to be doing? We need to explore. Yeah, what is it?
So the third thing that I'd like you to look at is your emotions. And a lot of business owners that I talk to, especially male business owners, they're like, "What emotions?" And we have maybe 4 or 5 emotions, and which we are used to talking about. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. So we have kind of these, like, a very limited vocabulary of emotions. And this time we are feeling like a million of them, and even in a minute you can feel them. Like right now, before we started this call, Noman, like if I asked you to make a list, you could come up with 20 emotions, right? It's like I'm scared, I'm excited, I'm happy, at the same time you can be feeling so many emotions. So really be aware of what these feelings are, what these emotions are, and how they show up in your life. So sometimes you might be excited and it might show up as not being able to take any action because you're excited. So now when we have these emotions and we have these feelings, they may be um, showing up in a very different way from how they show up before. So because of the time of stress, a lot of hidden parts of our personality, the dark side of our personality, starts to show out. So become aware of it. A metaphor I like to share, and this is especially for those of you who've got kids. Imagine that your kids are in a room and they're making a lot of noise, and they're jumping around and all of that, and you just walk into the room and you just look at them and you smile. What happens, Noman? What happens if you would do that?
It would be very difficult to smile if they're jumping and running around and yeah, I think it's interesting. When you smile, different things happen. You just walk in, they come running to you, hug you, or maybe they're just dying to share things that they want to share with you, and they're like, oh, just come in, and or maybe they want to come, they'll say that, come join me in the play. Yeah, if there's no clear answer to it, probably.
Yes, and this is true. So what happens is they stop doing what they were doing,
Yeah.
and now you become part of what is happening. So
Yes.
either they come and they hug you, or you choose, what happens. But what you've done by shining the light and by just appearing without even saying anything is that you've brought into perspective that there are these feelings. So that's
Yeah.
exactly how these emotions and feelings work for us right now. So just being aware of it and asking yourself, maybe doing a couple of times in the day, just look, how do I feel? So I'm going to ask all of you this question right now, and you can put them here in the comments. Like, name how you're feeling right now. Just one feeling that you're feeling right now.
So we have around 12 people online, guys. I need you to punch in the comments. How are you feeling
Even
right
you,
now?
Noman.
Even me.
How are you feeling? Yeah, just one word. How are you feeling?
Well, honestly, I'm feeling excited
Okay.
because there was no script, and I thought we'll just keep it very heart to heart, um, and yeah, and just when we were about to start, I lost you, and I was like, okay, now how do I even keep it heart to heart? And then you
Yeah.
came back, and then so yeah, I think I'm feeling excited, and I'm also feeling confused. So I don't know if that's a feeling,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I
There's
shouldn't be using
excitement.
should. Then what should I be using? So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And I'm
everybody
going to
who's
answer
with
that
us,
question in
if
a
you,
bit. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to answer that question in a bit. So we've got some people saying, Akbar saying he's feeling relaxed, Raheel is saying energetic, Aziz is saying great. And so again, I'm going to invite you to become a little bit more expressive with your feelings. And Vijay is saying good feeling to be home with family, but again, a little bit worried at the same time. Ahmed is saying he's feeling curious. So yes, so some of us have got very clear feelings, and some of us have got, like different feelings. And actually, the ultimate truth, I'm linking it back to the number one thing, which is the ultimate truth does not lie in the right answer. So you don't have to have, there's no right feeling how you should be feeling right now. It is the ultimate truth comes in the paradox. So I'm excited, but I'm also a bit anxious. I'm happy and I'm relaxed, but I'm also a bit worried. And it is in this paradox of feeling these seemingly disconnected feelings that you find the answers. So the third thing that business owners should do at this time is to start naming those feelings. If you have a good relationship with your partner, and of course right now many of us are stuck in the house with our partner, hopefully you have a good relationship with your partner, talk about it. Like, both of you should be talking about your feelings. So do that. If you've got older kids, talk about them. So you can name those feelings. When we name them, we bring it up and we can have conversations around them. And I think it's important for us to normalize that it's okay for me to feel happy in the morning and upset an hour later, and it's okay for me to feel positive one moment and worried another moment. And when you start writing these feelings down, these emotions down, you start shining the light on them, and you become a lot more aware that actually you're this technical human being. You're not a black and white human being, who's like either this or this. We're full of color. So that's really important. And looking at the bigger picture, it's when we don't judge ourselves and we accept ourselves for who we are. It's okay for me to feel confused and happy at the same time. It's okay for me to feel like I know what I'm doing, but I'm also confused at the same time. So it's important that we normalize that we have all these emotions, but also that we become aware of that we are human beings. That's why we have these emotions, and that's why we have these feelings, and start to bring it up in the vocabulary. And as Asians, I think most of us here on this group are Asians. We've been conditioned, and this is the civilized mind, not to talk about it. So if you're upset, don't talk about it. Also, if you're really happy, like let's say you win a big project, you are dying to celebrate, but you're like, who do I tell? They're gonna think I'm really greedy,
boasting about it. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm boasting about it, and I'm being arrogant over here. So you're right. Even our movies, they say "mard ko dard nahi hota," and and "ladko ko rona nahi chahiye." So why not? Why
Yeah.
not? So
and
you're right.
these are things, Noman, which exactly this is number two. This is what we talked about. We said strong beliefs loosely held. So go back to that belief about the beliefs that we have, that I should be strong. Okay, I should be strong. Now, is it okay if I'm a bit where is this coming from? Where is this need to be strong? And is it okay if I'm a bit vulnerable? Is it okay if I'm very vulnerable? And you decide that I want to let go of this right now. Nobody knows the answer to what's going to happen and what's the right way to go about it, but definitely being more kind to yourself, being more aware of your emotions, of your feelings, and normalizing it. And it's okay to feel like this. It's perfectly fine.
Let's put the other side of the coin over here, and sorry for disrupting you, but before we go to the second to the fourth point, as business owners, we are also conditioned to be strong, because if the entrepreneur himself shows that he's weak, himself shows that he's confused, how is he going to lead the team? And the leader, they say it's lonely at the top. So no matter what he or she has been feeling inside, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or as a leader, or even as a departmental head, he cannot or she cannot express it or show it. So how do we handle that?
Yeah. So first of all, I think one is to just listen to our own vocabulary. When we say I cannot do it, it's telling me you have a very strong belief which you're very strongly holding on to. So letting loose of that belief sounds like I find it challenging to be vulnerable, and I find that I have to put up a strong face even when I don't feel strong. Okay. So one is like really for us to look at our own vocabulary around it, because that gives us so much information to us about what am I really holding so strongly to. The second point, which you said very, very rightly, Noman, which is around, who do I share this with? And so many times we find it difficult to share it with our partner because our partner freaks out. Okay. And then they start giving us advice, which we're not really looking for advice. We're just looking for like someone to listen to us. Often you may also find that when you're talking, you clarify your thoughts as you talk, right? So having a supportive group for that. I've created a group. It's a Facebook group called Unshackled Action Takers, primarily for this, to create a safe space where we talk about these things on a regular basis. And I bring emotions up all the time, right? And I'm like, it's important for us to name them, to talk about them. Also, I know, Noman, you've been part of a mastermind. So the reason why we have these masterminds is, yes, it helps you to stay on track with your business, but it also creates a small group of business owners who have similar challenges that you're having. And you can talk about things in a safe space. So I am part of a business mastermind that I've created for 5 years. And honestly, it's the good days and the bad days. So, today I had something I really wanted to celebrate. And I thought, where can I share this? Because if I share it somewhere, everyone's going to think I'm arrogant. But when I share it in my group, they're celebrating with me because they genuinely are happy for me.
Right.
They know what I went through to get to where I am. So it's important to have that. So we can create these spaces for ourselves. You don't have to be vulnerable in front of everybody. Yes, when you're going to the office and you're talking to your team, you cannot talk to everybody about all your fears. However, you have to start increasing. I don't use the word have to. You're invited to increase your vocabulary to include more vulnerable terms. So when we talk to we go to the office, when we are going to the office and we meet people and we say, hi, how are you? What do we say? Everyone says, I'm fine. So we don't move beyond fine. So, talking about creating a space where there's a little bit more vocabulary around how am I feeling, what's happening. So, Noman, please excuse me over here because my dog.
That's perfectly all right. And I'm deviating, but I envy dog owners because you guys have the permission to step out in this lockdown in Dubai for every day, 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening to walk your dogs, and we can't just go out. So it's perfectly all right. So amazing, Neeru, and I think you're right. We need to look at different avenues where we can create that vulnerability sort of protection around us, and
Yes.
I think mastermind is a great advice. That's probably a very, very different Bizverds that we should go through of how to put a mastermind together and
Yes.
and what to get out of it. And then I have a few questions coming in over here. So before we move on to the fourth point, and I think we'll go a little bit in more depth of how to change our vocabulary. My colleague at Fundworks, and on all those who have joined me on Facebook, do go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, which is look for Fundworks Media. Because anytime any one of us goes live and there is any episode or any webinar or any workshops coming in live, you get the update right away. So what Farhad is saying, are there any steps to even letting go of emotions? Do we need to release them? Do we need to keep them? Do we need to share them? How does it work?
That's a great question. Actually, there are a lot of people who say, get up and shake them out. Like if you're feeling
Okay.
frustrated, get up and shake it. Go dance, do some yoga. Do something. Go for a run. So that's definitely one way of I won't say letting go of the emotion, but helping the emotion to move, because the emotion, we all know they sit somewhere. You talk to business owners, many of them now are saying, I have a migraine, I'm like tired, my head is spinning at the back. These are all signs of your emotions stuck somewhere. So it's the pressure, your shoulders are hurting, your back is hurting. So there are things that you can do, yes, physiologically, to help move the emotion. But one of the things that I love to actually tell my clients is that I'm a very metaphors person. So I share with metaphors because it helps us to picturize it. We won't forget it. We'll remember it when we remember the picture. And then we all take different learnings from that. So imagine like you're standing on the bank of a river, and the river is like flowing. Okay, it's one of the rivers, like just at the base of the mountain. So it's cold, it's flowing with the force. And this is what emotions are. They come. And when we are trying to fix the emotion or we try to stop it, trying to stop it is like trying to build a dam as the river is going. Okay, so you're like, oh, I'm going to build a dam, and then you put it over there, but the river flows right through. Or you say, I'm going to understand this emotion, and you dive right into it. And then you're going to get wet, you're going to drown, you're going to maybe hit your head on a boulder or something like that. So instead of that, stand on the bank and just watch the river flow. So what that means is that, like you're feeling angry, okay? Remove yourself from the place where you're feeling angry. So, anger is actually very, very important emotion, because any change that happens in the world happens because somebody got angry. And because anger drives action. But why we label it as not such a good emotion is because sometimes it gets expressed in a way that's not useful. So it might get expressed with, someone throwing something, or with violence, but also with tears. And it happens when we don't know how should we express this emotion. So when you feel that emotion, step back if you can, and just observe it. Okay, like, I'm feeling angry. Like, how do I know I'm feeling angry? My heart is beating. I started sweating. This is what's happening to me. And just let the emotion flow. As it flows through, you will start receiving something. So let's say you're scared. You wake up in the morning and you feel scared. And you're thinking, oh shit, now, sorry, excuse me, excuse the language. You wake up in the morning, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? Like, it's doomsday. My business is really in a fix. And you start feeling scared. So one way to fix it is like, be brave. Come on, like, you don't have to feel scared. Get up, go do something. The hustle culture does this, like, stop it. Don't feel scared. Get up, do some action, do something. So what you've done is you've blocked that emotion of scared. But instead of that, if you want to just sit and observe that fear and say, okay, what am I really scared of? I'm scared that my plan is not going to work. Okay. And then what else am I really scared of? I'm scared that, people will think I'm a failure. Okay. And then what else am I really scared of? As you start asking yourself these questions, you get a little bit deeper inside fear or I'm scared, and you come up with some kind of a resource. So if you work with a coach or you work with a counselor, they're actually trained. We are trained to help you process these emotions, and to help you really find out there's always some gem in it. There's some essence in these emotions, even the negative ones, that can help you to take some movement forward. But even if you don't want to work with someone, just taking a pause and just reflecting about it. Many of you may have some spiritual practice, maybe, and now, Ramadan time is coming, and I know many of you would be taking out time to, to really reflect. That is why our cultures have built these times of reflection. It's for us to process what is happening. And
don't dive right into the emotion. Don't build a dam around it. Just
Yes.
stand on the banks and
Yes.
and observe what's going through. And
Yes.
yeah, great. So we have somebody. Oh, Shazad. Yeah. So Shazad says, always share your success. It gives you more confidence over next time. The mastermind bit that we were talking about. And yeah, just because he said share your success, he writes Funworks Bravo, so I'm sharing it over here also. Yeah. Yeah, great. So we spoke about 3 points already. The first one was, don't look for the right answers right now. Nobody knows the answer. Nobody has gone through this. Look for the right questions. Yeah. The third one was, be aware of the feelings. The second one was the beliefs. Yeah. You have strong beliefs. Hold them loosely. Let go of. You could. Your values are more important, but your beliefs you could always change. So what's the fourth point?
So
Yeah.
the fourth point is actually a tool that I would like to share with you,
Okay.
and it's actually been inspired by another coach who's also a CTI trained like myself. His name is Shazad, and he's come up with this concept called saboteurs. I work a lot with saboteurs as well, and it's a tool to help you understand who these characters are in your head. So
Okay.
I've also combined it with my knowledge of the personality dark side and the bright side of your personality. So during stress, the dark side of our personality comes up because we're not so aware.
Just post
not-
the link in the comments. Sorry, Neeru. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, sorry, Neeru. Go ahead.
So this is a handout that I've made for all of you. You can go click on the link and you can get the handout, and it explains all these different saboteurs that you might have, and it also has an antidote for how do you manage these saboteurs. So
Okay.
just to give you an example of what these saboteurs are, they're the voices in your head, and they've come from your experience, they've come from your beliefs, they've come from all the years of your life. And imagine that you're sitting and watching a play. Okay, it could be anywhere. You could be at the Dubai Opera, or you could be at a local Nautanki play. Okay,
Okay.
imagine that you're sitting in the audience and you're watching this play happening. Okay, and some characters are coming and some characters are going, and you don't even know who the hero is or who the who the villain is. These characters just coming and they're having all sorts of fun. And imagine that that stage is your head. So right now, that's what is happening. These voices are coming. We're telling ourselves things, and they're going, and we're not.
The minute you talk about the voice came. Yeah.
Absolutely, this is a
All right.
real voice.
And these are some of the voices which are coming inside our brain also, right?
Yes.
It's okay. You might want to tap him or her, whatever it is.
I'm just gonna let her go out. Just give me a second, please.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just wait for 2 minutes for Neeru to come back. But in the meanwhile, Neeru is sharing 5 things that we can explore as business owners, that the business owner should be doing to navigate through the storm. And we're just talking about the fourth, which is Saboteur awareness. And then there's a tool that I've shared in the comments, so you might want to look at that tool. I would suggest don't look at that tool right now. Focus on what Neeru is sharing. You can go back and look at the tool later on. So yeah, Neeru,
Yeah.
let's go back.
Yep. So imagine that stage is your head, and there are these voices, there are these characters who are coming and they're going, they're playing, and you realize that actually you're not a spectator, but you're the director of that play. So you get to decide which act is going to play and who's going to come in which act. So who are these characters? So what I would like to do, and how I've actually designed the Saboteur, this Saboteur handout, is that when we're in shock, when change happens, our first response to any kind of stimulus, we have 3 responses. One is the freeze. Okay, so we freeze, like I don't know what to do. The second one is we become aggressive, like let me go and fight it, like what do these guys think? And then the third one is the passive response, where either you try to run away or you become very passive. So I've divided these saboteurs into these 3 clusters because that's how they behave. They behave in these ways. Now, as I'm going to read them out, I'm going to ask you to notice if you have any of those saboteurs, and then I'm going to ask you to share them here. We're not judging anybody. Remember that there's no right, there's no wrong. We're just creating awareness. And if somebody says, I don't have any of those, then I'll invite you to look a little deeper and really see, what is it that you're trying to avoid or what you're trying to hide.
In short, if somebody says they don't have any of those, they're lying.
I won't say that. I would say.
The dangerous thing is that our spouses might be viewing this broadcast later on. So all those who are putting in those saboteurs, then their spouse would come and you see now this saboteur of yours is activated. So that's a dangerous thing. But let's try it. So all those who are online, if you've ever felt this saboteur that Neeru is about to mention, do post in a yes. And I will try and delete those comments later on, so you are guarded against your spouses. Yeah.
If you feel that this saboteur resides in your head, you can share it. So the first one is the restless rabbit. So the restless rabbit comes in your head and says you should do something. Get up, do something. So you're saying yes to a lot of things, and maybe some of those things are like you're not getting any results. So you feel really busy. At the end of the day, you're like, I just spent like 10 hours, but maine kya kiya? Like I don't know what I did. I didn't do anything. So that's one, restless rabbit. The second one is Judge Judy. So Judge Judy comes and she sits on this high chair and she says, you didn't do this. You didn't do this. Why didn't you? This was all your fault. You should have done this. You should have done that. Also, Judge Judy comes and she judges other people. So Judge Judy comes and says, it was that other person's fault. It was the government's fault. It was China's fault. It was Trump's fault. So Judge Judy comes in, also is judging not just you for not doing what you were supposed to do, but also other people. So what happens then is that you're externalizing the blame and you're not taking any ownership for what you could do. The third one is
before you go forward, all those who are live on, please put in a yes if you go through this. And Neeru, this is becoming dangerous because I have gone through both up till now. So there is a restless rabbit that acts in my mind, and you're like, I should be doing this. No, I should go and do this. Let's change my business model a little bit. And then Judge Judy is always there. So yeah, that's getting a bit dangerous. So Zan, my colleague, he says yes to restless rabbit. Ahmed says yes to that restless rabbit. So restless rabbit, Judge Judy. Yeah, go ahead.
The third one is the hyper rational accountant. So the hyper rational accountant
Oh,
sits and thinks about, why did this happen? Why did they say this? What would have happened if this happened? What would have happened? So the hyper rational accountant is living in the past all the time. So who said this? This person said this. What did he really mean? What does he want to do? And so this saboteur spends a lot of time in the past. That thing is gone. It's done. So it's taking all your attention from what you can be doing now to analyzing what happened in the past and why did it happen and whose fault was it, and all of that. The third
these
one,
could also be those. This could also be those news analysts that
yeah,
sit on the
absolutely.
news channel, keep analyzing things, and then give us this anxiety. The minute you go and watch online news, they're analyzing this corona is doing this, COVID is doing this,
Absolutely.
the economy is going into shackles, the crude oil is going down, and you're sitting over there and watching that analysis, and then your Just Judy gets active. When you get in touch with hyper
And
accountants from
that's the thing,
outside.
they come in pairs. They're all friends. So it's like,
Yeah.
in the playground, there's one naughty kid and then the other one comes to play and then the third one comes to play. So they're friends with each other. So they come in and they play together. The
Amazing.
fourth
Okay,
one,
so all those who are online, we are okay. Vijay says yes, very true. Vijay, which is with this yes is true on what? Restless Rabbit, Just Judy, or the hyper rational accountant? Ahmed says yes on 1 and 2, sometimes yes. Everyone else who's online, tell us if these voices come inside your head. These saboteurs are
just
with
name
you.
them.
The Restless
Just
Rabbit,
name them.
yeah, yeah. Hyper rational accountant. That's number 3. All right.
Yes. So
What's
the next
next?
one is the virtuous victim. The virtuous victim again makes you freeze because the virtuous victim is, it's everything is out of my control. What can I do? Poor me. All these bad things happened to me. Why did it happen to me? And I was just doing my own thing, and now everything is out of my control. So again, I'm going to share a metaphor with you. Imagine like you're driving on Sheikh Zayed Road, and on Sheikh Zayed Road, there are 3 lanes, or any highway in your country. There are 3 lanes. One lane is your lane. Okay, that's the lane in which you are driving. That's your lane. The lane on the right is somebody else's lane. It's your
Mhm.
wife's lane or your boss's lane or your client's lane. And the third lane is God's lane, or the universe's lane, or what, depending on your beliefs, whatever it might be. Now, if you are feeling stressed out or you're feeling anxious, please know that you may be in one of the other 2 lanes. So you may be worried about somebody else. So the virtuous victim may be sitting in God's lane and saying, all this bad thing is happening to me. You can't change it. Or your hyper rational accountant might be sitting in somebody else's lane and saying, why did the government do this? What if they had done this? Again, you can't do anything about it. So come back to your lane. Your lane is the only lane where you can make a change, where you can do something. So the moment you realize you're in one of these other 2 lanes, come back to your lane and ask yourself, what can I do now? That's the only time that you have. You cannot do something in the past, you can't influence the future, but what you can do is you can do something now. So that's
And
what will help
this
you to unfreeze.
this this is an amazing metaphor, and all my friends from Dubai, and as you said, even if you're talking about the Karachi and the Mumbai's, the highways which are there, the road rage is also because of these rational accountants and virtuous victims and Jews. Look at him. How is he driving? How can he come inside? What I can
Absolutely.
only do is put my feet on the brake, or I could go fast on the accelerator. That's it. I cannot do anything else. But
Yes.
the road rage is, and interestingly, in these days, COVID is giving that road rage. It's sometimes, the rational accountant. I wish I wouldn't have done that, so that this accident wouldn't have happened. uh,
Yes.
or it's the Just Judy. You see, I told you to change things at your end. If you would have done this, you would have been better. So
Absolutely.
interesting. So all right, guys, keep that coming in. Vijay says 1 and 2. Rakesh, by the way, is a friend. He was from Dubai. He's in Switzerland right now. He says 1 yes, 2 yes, 3 no. Great. So all those who are live, Neeru is sharing some characters which talk inside our brain, and if you've experienced them, say yes. All right. So what's next?
Okay, brilliant. So now I'm going to move to the aggressive cluster. So this cluster was the freeze cluster. These saboteurs cause us to get stuck, like we don't know what to do. The next cluster is the aggressive cluster. Often, other people will see us acting out these saboteurs because other people get impacted by it a lot. So the first one is the hyperachieving boss. So the hyperachieving boss comes and tells you that you are going to be the one person in your colony who makes money out of this crisis. So you're now already putting pressure on yourself, saying, I need to come out of this like really successful. Or you're the hyperachieving boss says, you're the one who's going to get a bonus this year. Or you have to be perfect at this. You are the one who has to get it right. You're the one who has to do the first webinar. So this hyperachieving boss creates a lot of pressure on you and also tells you either you're number one or you're zero. Okay. And
Mm.
unfortunately, this voice often comes from our school teachers, our parents, who say either you're one, two, three in class, otherwise you're zero. And hyperachieving boss says, forget about a two and three also. Like either you're one or you're zero. So that creates a lot of pressure, which other people get to see because you become overly aggressive, trying to respond. The second one is the controlling cat. The controlling cat, and especially now, if you had controlling cat and maybe you had managed her through feedback before, probably is coming out right now because you're at home and everything is out of your control. So controlling cat comes and says, "Where's the information? What time are you doing this? Who's doing this? Can you please copy me on the emails? I need this information." So the controlling cat now wants everything, wants like to manage all the information, wants all the feedback and all of that, and then it creates a lot of pressure for the team as well as for you.
So, Neeru,
The
what's the
third,
difference between hyperachieving boss versus controlling cat?
yeah,
Uh,
so the hyperachieving boss says you have to be number one.
okay.
However you do it, you have to be the best. The controlling cat doesn't care about being the best or not, but needs to have all the information. So the controlling cat doesn't care if you're number one or not, but you will notice the controlling cat in yourself or in other people when they want a lot of information. So maybe some of you are like telling your teams, I need to have an update in the morning, in the evening. What did you do? Where did you spend your time? That's the controlling cat. Okay. And then it frustrates the team members because it wasn't like this before. Now that we're working online and your team may feel like you're not trusting them now, uh,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, you may be feeling, your team may be breaking trust, and also the controlling cat may come from a lack of information. So if you have the controlling cat, the way to get about it is to ask more questions. So okay, tell me, like, how are you going to do it? When are you going to do it by? How will I know that it's happened? And just focus on the outcome rather than how it's going to happen.
So
So
these
that's
controlling cats are also the ones who would wake up in the morning and keep the score. How many corona cases today? Sadly, how many have died? And I've started telling people, stop WhatsApping me the updates of how many corona cases came in today or how many died. This is not a cricket match that we need to be keeping scores. You see.
yeah.
So yeah, great.
So actually,
So all those who are
that
over here,
so,
keep
that
it coming.
score,
Yeah. Sorry.
that score is actually a different character. So the one who wakes up in the morning is the hyper vigilant hawk. So
Oh my
this is a character that's waiting for the worst thing to happen. So they're tracking all the data so that they can predict what's going to happen. So they are always in the future. So they're looking at the data. They cannot control that data. So there's a difference between the controlling cat, because the controlling cat is trying to control things that they can control.
God.
Whereas the hypervigilant hawk is really trying to look at, what's going to happen in the future, and they are scared of the worst possible thing. So they're not focusing on the best possible outcome. So when I talk to business owners, I actually ask them, like, what's the best case scenario? The hypervigilant hawk is focused on the worst case scenario. And yes, you need to have information about that, but that's not where you want to be putting your precious energy. You want your precious energy to go to what's the best possible outcome, right?
And,
so
and
so
then that's so
that's
true, interestingly, it's a known fact, at least in our part of the world, that trainings and learning and development initiatives don't happen in Ramadan. But this time around, it's so different. We've adapted, and we're doing what we call Facilitation. So we're doing web-based workshops, which are 2 hours, real life workshops using different tools, putting people into breakout rooms. And for the first time, we are actually packed in Ramadan because people are looking at it. So, the best case scenario versus the worst case scenario.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And when we I'm asking you to see which ones you have right now, but at the same time, you may be noticing I don't have that, and that's a great
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So yes, again, when we're writing these down, we're focused on the worst case scenario, like which are the bad ones that I have, but also we have to recognize like I don't have this, and because I don't have this, this is a good thing that happened to me. So we also have to shine the light on what are some of the good things that are happening. Okay, and then the last cluster that I wanted to talk about
Okay.
is the passive cluster. So in the passive cluster, we have two primary saboteurs. One is the perfectionist professor. So the perfectionist professor says everything should be perfect. They pay attention to detail. They have a good strength that they pay attention to detail, but they cannot let go of a lack of information, and they sit quietly and just do their work. So they're not communicating. So when you see them, if they're your direct reports, you think, what are they doing? Like they're not doing anything. And if you have a controlling cat, you're probably trying to control them, like tell me what are you working on? And they're working on some really deep, intense stuff. But what happens then if you're the perfectionist professor, you're trying to look for a perfect solution,
Hmm.
and you will never have a perfect solution unless you prototype it, unless you take it out, you experiment with it, you get some feedback on it. Also, people will not know what you're doing. So that one of the passive cluster is a perfectionist professor, and the second one is the people pleaser. The people pleaser
Hmm.
says, don't upset other people, so do what everybody is asking you to do. This comes back to that socialized mind versus self-authoring mind. So if you have a socialized mind, your people pleaser is probably very strong. Don't upset people, don't upset your boss, don't upset your client. Don't go and ask for payments which have come back, have not come in yet. Don't push the client. That's a people pleaser. And again, ask yourself, is this working for me or is it not working for me? And so again, how do we address these saboteurs? Is A, we shine the light on them, we become aware of them, and then you can go ahead and you can download the handout that I've given you, and I've shared some antidotes for how you can, if you have any of those, how you can get over, how you can work through them, how you can get over them. But the first step is to shine the light. So that's exactly what we've done over here. And so I'd like to, clap my hands and acknowledge all of you for yes, for acknowledging and saying yes, I'm not perfect. I have these in me. I have these, saboteurs, and it's okay. I'm colorful. You would not be colorful if you did not have saboteurs. Okay, so yes, you have a bright side. Those are your strengths. It's not something we're talking about today. And I'm a strengths based person, so I really think you should focus on your strengths. But you have to be aware of what these saboteurs are, how they might be playing in right now when you're under stress, how they might be stopping you from really bringing out your genius and really experimenting with something new that nobody else has done, nobody else has tried, because you've gone back to these old habits, you've gone back to the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
So
And
just be
in
aware of
times
it.
like these, I guess the saboteurs become much more active in normal times, right? And this is why it's so important to recognize, okay, this is the perfectionist boss speaking inside me right now. I don't need to be perfect. I can go ahead and try something new. I can
Yes,
change the business model.
yes,
Or this is a hyper achieving saboteur speaking, inside me that, oh, why did I start so slow? I should have been the first one in changing this business model.
yes,
Or the controlling cat, as you said, who just wants to control everything and anything because the boss had people around him, and
yes.
suddenly he doesn't have anybody around him, and he just wants to control. So amazing. So yeah. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
so we these are the dark side characters. The same way we have a bright side characters, and
Okay.
this is like you're sailing the storm, right? So you're in a ship,
Hmm.
and you're
Hmm.
the captain of the ship, and you have a crew. So some
Right.
of the crew are like these pirate characters, and some of the crew are like the good characters. So I'm
Amazing.
not
Yeah.
got it in the scope of today's thing, but you also have these good characters, and you have to acknowledge them. You have to kind of see them. So one of the characters I saw in you, Noman, actually today, when this, the call, we had this technical glitch, and so you paid attention to detail before we practiced. Actually we were here 15 minutes before the call. We practiced, we made sure everything was perfect, and then the technology didn't work. So and
And just when we went live, just the
absolutely,
minute we went live, you
that's
were
the
gone.
time it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But what I saw is you have a character, like a bright side character, who's like dancing, dancing in the rain. It's raining, let me dance. And I saw that playing here. So you were very much present. You very much, okay, this is what's happening, and you were throwing out ideas. Okay, would can you try this? Can you hear me? Do you want to get out of the call and come back again? So you kept your cool, and so I would actually name it as maybe a character like that. So in the work that I do with my clients, we help to identify both the bright side and the dark side characters, because then you can truly be the director of your play. Then you decide, oh, when this crisis has happened, who should I bring in? So should I bring in, I'm noticing, oh, there's a dark side character playing here. The villain is on stage. So which hero should I bring? And should I bring the comedian, or should I bring this other character? So, and we have these characters. So I just want to remind you that, yes, for
I
today's
think I think
show,
that's
I've got
another
your attention.
another episode and another conversation that we are supposed to have. Yeah, because this is amazing. And as you said, this dancing in the rain character. If you ask my colleague, they would say, just when I'm about to go live, even in a training assignment or a consulting assignment, I'm about to enter the client's room.
Yeah.
My controlling cat just before that is very very active. So, I've tamed that controlling cat and said, listen, you just be relaxed. You cannot control her. She's gone. I
Yeah.
cannot do anything. And she's gone just when we are about to get live. Ahmed says that even if you're well aware of the presence of those saboteurs, it is hard to always get over it. What does it take to succeed? So I know that we've shared the link, Ahmed. It's in the comments. Please go through that link, and it has all the details. But nonetheless, Neeru, shared very quickly a few points, and then we'll go to our last point, our last thing that we shouldn't, I don't know, explore doing. We still need to answer me. If we shouldn't be doing it, what should we doing? Yeah. All right. Great. So
But I
answer what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ahmed, actually, the first step is really to shine the light. So once we're aware of these saboteurs, we see them when they come. Really try to understand what triggers them, because they're not always there. So something triggers them. Something someone said. It's usually one of your values that has been triggered. So let's say you have a value of transparency, and someone is is hiding information from you. So you might find that your controlling cat comes out at that point. So become aware of what triggers these saboteurs to come up. That's the first step. And then the second step is, for each of these saboteurs, I have shared some antidotes. So please have a look at it, at the PDF, and you'll be able to see those specific antidotes. And if you have any more questions, connect to me on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'll be very happy to answer them. This is a process which takes time. And so, I want to just share with you that I'm a coach. I've been working on this for years now. And I had some saboteurs which I thought I had dealt with. I thought, this saboteur is gone for good. And guess what? During the crisis, they all came back. And then I realized, oh, this one is back. Old childhood friend has come back. But now that you know how to deal with them, you can become a lot more aware of it. You can laugh about it. And the reason why I've named them like this is because we can make a game out of it. So when we intellectualize it, then it starts becoming, I should do this, I must do this, I mustn't do this, I must do this. So, and that doesn't help. That you cannot change with that. So that's why I've named them like this, so that they become these little characters in our head. And then once we have these little characters, then we can play games with them. We can say, okay, I know this one. So what does this particular character like to do? Okay, they like to go for a swim. Okay, let them go for a swim. Then I can carry on with my own thing. So it's just a way,
Just
a
like when you were
metaphorical way to deal with it.
talking about the saboteurs, your dog just came in, started barking. She or he, I don't know what it is.
Let's see.
she wanted to go out. So just the same way the voices comes, and we need to figure out what we need to do with them.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
that's the most important thing, is to first get aware that, is it the victim inside us talking, is it the hyper rational accountant that's talking,
Yes.
or is it the judge Judy that is active. So amazing. So we've been talking about five
And
things.
also, one more thing, Noman. If you noticed, I was trying to ignore her, but she didn't stop barking. So they're like that. They won't go away. So don't, like, if you just ignore them, they won't. You need to deal with them. Like, you need to say, okay, you need to go away. I'm aware of this. Okay, I know what triggered you, and now I can deal with you. I can feed you if you're hungry. I can give you some water. Or I can set you outside. So if you just try to brush them away, they won't go away. They'll keep barking. They'll keep coming back. So you have to be
Correct.
aware of them, and then you
Yeah.
have to have these strategies. So, and I've shared some strategies for
And
each
all
factors.
this happening. I promised at the beginning of this episode that there is nothing scripted, and
Yes.
we would just have a heart-to-heart conversation. So thank you for your dog who came in and
Yeah,
just made it
absolutely. The dog
very. Uh,
wasn't scripted. My kids were supposed to be playing with the dog upstairs. So
and that's perfectly all right, because there were times when we were talking about working from home. I remember there's this BBC video that made rounds, and people laughed at it, because there's this guy sitting in a suit, and his children walks in, and in that room when he was about to go live an interview on BBC, and
yes,
he was so frustrated, and he was so scared, and he was fearful, but nonetheless, so now it's pretty
yeah,
okay. So
yes,
I'll come back. So we've been for the past 1 hour now. We've been speaking about five things that the business owners, entrepreneurs, and even as leaders, as individuals, we should be exploring. Should, again, see, the word "should" comes in. We need to be exploring, or we are exploring, the five things to sail through or navigate through the storm. The first was, don't look for the right answers. Nobody has right answers. Just ask the right questions, and don't ask the why questions, and don't ask the how questions, because nobody knows how, right? The second thing was, you have very, very strong beliefs, hold them loosely. Let go of your belief. This is high time to let go of your beliefs. I'm not asking you to let go of your values, neither the Neeru, but let go of the beliefs that you strongly held. Number three was, beware of your feelings. Especially in our part of the world, where you cannot be emotional, because if you're emotional, you're weak. And then, as a business owner, you need to have that strong leading personality. Yet you can have mechanisms around you where you could be aware of your feelings, and you could be sharing those feelings. And the fourth, which was the most interesting, was about the saboteurs. Yeah. And we went through all these characters, and all those who are here who have missed this, please go through this episode one more time, and go through these saboteurs and these characters which play inside your head and bark inside your head, or talk to you, and is trying to sabotage you. So, secret sauce. What's the fifth thing that business owners need to explore to
yeah,
navigate through the storm? Yeah.
yeah. It's okay for you to have your own path. So that's the last one. It's okay for each of us to take a completely different path from each other. There's no, as I said when I started, there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. So it's okay for us to take our own path and for us to be unique. And I think it takes a lot of courage to do that, to chart our own path. But through the storm, that's how we're going to navigate it. Nobody knows where they're going. So even if you decide to follow someone, they may be going towards the cliff. So just go with your own path. Be okay with taking your own, with charting your own path. So that's the last one that I'd like to share with you. And I hope you found these useful. Their guideposts, their suggestions, their invitations to learn. None of these ideas are prescriptive. None of them are things that you should do, and none of them guarantee any results. But what I can guarantee is that you'll have a lot more awareness. You will definitely grow, and you will move more towards a self-authored mind, where you are confident about charting your own life in the way that works for you.
This is amazing, and then and then please share in your comments how did you like this, and if you have any particular questions, please share them. Rakesh again says interesting and intriguing talk, guys. It's definitely intriguing, because in order to recognize those voices inside us, and being, right now we're dealing with it very lightly, but agreeing that yes, I'm being an hyper achieving boss over here and I need to calm down a little bit, or I need to tame my control cat a little bit at that particular moment when I'm going through that. That's definitely not happening. Ahmed says quite useful. Thank you, Ahmed, for that. Vijay, awesome session. Thank you, Vijay. All those who are on Facebook, a lot of such sessions are coming in live. And again, this is not yet another webinar. It's just a heart-to-heart conversation that we are having about how to navigate through these storms that are just coming up every day. Go to our YouTube channel, Funworks Media. Funworks Media is our channel. Subscribe so you get the notification as soon as we are live. Any questions if you have from Neeru or from myself, please go ahead and ask them. Do look out for Neeru and myself on LinkedIn, and we would be more than happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and take this forward. Neeru, a few concluding words about the 5 ingredients of exploring and navigating through these stuff. I found
I love it.
a word.
I love it. I love it, Noman. And I
Yeah.
think I'll just ride on that. That just like how you've observed Noman moving from, noticing that I use these words should and must, to practicing and noticing when they still came up, even when you were trying for them not to come up, and then eventually actually crafting out his own unique statement that didn't have those words in it. And that's what the process is all about. It's about riding the storm, trying out things. Sometimes you will get wet, sometimes you won't. Sometimes things will work and sometimes things won't work, but keep going, and eventually whatever you form as your own statement is exactly how it should be. There's nothing for us to change in that. So that's my concluding remark.
You
And
did
thank
say
you so
should in
much for being
conclusion.
with me.
You did say conclusion and should, and you know what, it's interestingly, I have a metaphor too now,
Yes,
because the word that I came in place of should. We should be doing this, you should be doing this, you should be keeping a track of your business, you should be keeping a track of your revenues. The word that I came up was ingredients, these 5 ingredients that we explored. And
yes,
ingredients is interesting because every chef cooks his or her dish in its own way, or his or her own way. I
yes,
can be using a little bit of more spice and you would be using a little bit of less spice. So these
right.
ingredients are out there, but you have to chart your own way,
I love
and
that.
use it, and use it accordingly. The metaphor is when you're cooking, make sure that the ingredients that you're using, there's no should over here. You do not have to necessarily put 2 teaspoons of this and you'll get the taste. It's as per your taste and as per your needs. So explore these 5 ingredients that Neeru has shared. Imran says that I was here for the 4th and the 5th. Yes, Imran, please go through this episode. Rather, I will go through this episode one more time. I just loved our interaction over here, Neeru.
Yes,
Samina Ali is saying that refreshing, enjoyed the session. Do connect with us on LinkedIn if you're already not connected.
absolutely.
These were the 5 ingredients that we looked. We cooked a dish over here. Take these ingredients and go
Yeah,
back and cook your own dish and have fun and then enjoy. Thank you
ab-
very much for all those
thank,
who've been here. Neeru, thanks a lot. I
thank
hope to see you
you.
soon. This was Bizverds, where we have a structured topic. One another thing that I do is something called Web Khana, which is like a chai khana, where we don't have an agenda and we just come and chat over a cup of tea. So hope to have you in our Web Khana soon, and then we'll continue from here. Thank you very much for all those who've been here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. I have shared in the comments the link that Neeru had shared about the saboteurs. I am also going to share Neeru's LinkedIn profile. Nonetheless, you can look up on LinkedIn for Neeru Sharma, and you have the space over here. You can go and then look forward and connect with her. Thank you, Neeru. Thank you again
Thank
for a
you so
great
much.
1 hour of a heart to heart
Thank you,
conversation.
everyone, for joining us. I really appreciate your time. You've taken out, whole block of more than an hour from your very busy day to listen to me sharing my ingredients. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much, Noman, for inviting me and having this wonderful chat this evening. And I definitely look forward to having many, many more of these with you. So thank you so much.
This is amazing, Neeru. I am gonna use these analogies and these characters, and I'm gonna say that I learned it from Neeru Sharma because it's live and it's on YouTube, so I cannot steal them now. Great, thanks, Neeru. Thank you,
Thank
everyone who
you.
joined to yet another episode of Bizverds, words that gives you results. They it's not should, it's the ingredients that we are sharing with you. Go ahead and cook your own dish. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.